Hi, my name is Bridget DeVault, and today we're going to talk about the human papillomavirus. The human papillomavirus, commonly known as HPV, has long plagued the sexually active community. Over 20 years ago, researchers decided to start looking for the cause of cervical cancer. What they discovered is that almost all the cases of cervical cancer could be linked to HPV. After years of testing, in 2006, the FDA approved a vaccine to treat HPV. And what this means is that this vaccine could be the first vaccine that exists to potentially prevent cancer. In 2003, I was diagnosed with a high-risk type of HPV. When HPV occurs in the body, it starts as abnormal cells and then transforms into levels known as CIN 1, 2, and 3 before finally turning into full-blown cancer. The cells found in my body were CIN 2 and 3 cells, meaning I was one step below cancer. And these were discovered when I was pregnant with my twins. For the safety of my pregnancy, I was not able to treat my disease until 3 months after they were born. Now, because of my experience, I understand the importance of this vaccine. So today I'm going to tell you why we need this vaccine, why people are concerned about it, and why the vaccination numbers are so low, and what science has done to put those concerns to rest. So why do we need this vaccine? It is said that 75% of sexually active adults are affected by HPV. Now, initially, the CDC linked HPV to cervical cancer. Now they know that it is also linked to 85% of cases of anal cancer, 70% of vaginal cancer, 40% of vulvar cancer, as well as 35 to 45% of head and neck cancers. Now, Cervarix was a vaccine that was released to treat the two types of HPV that cause cancer, and it has been proven to be 93% effective against head and neck cancers. This is something that has been in the media recently because Michael Douglas came out and announced that his long battle with throat cancer has been linked to his infection with HPV. There are over 30 types of HPV that exist, but only 2 of them are known to cause cancer. Now, the vaccines, Cervarix, as I mentioned, treats those 2 types that cause cancer. Gardasil is a vaccine that is approved to treat 4 types of HPV, the 2 that cause cancer and the 2 that are linked to over 90% of the cases of genital warts. Now, genital warts is not cancer, and it is not life-threatening, but it is life-changing, because this virus, whether it is causing cancer or causing genital warts, never goes away. It's incurable. Now, what this virus does is it lays dormant in your body, and that means that this virus will appear as if it has gone away, and then for some reason, some biological process occurs, and we don't know why or what happens, and symptoms occur. So this vaccine is recommended to be given to females and males ages 9 to 26. Now, why would we give a vaccine for a sexually transmitted disease to 9-year-olds? Well, the idea behind this is that if we can get this vaccine to our children so that they have the potential to build up immunity before they are exposed to this virus, then we have a stronger chance of preventing cancer in the next generation. It's the same idea of the chickenpox vaccine or the measles. We give it to our kids when they're infants so that they have a chance to build up immunity before they are exposed to the general public and have a better chance of not getting chickenpox or the measles. So why do we stop the vaccine at 26? Well, the idea behind that is that by the age of 26, most adults have had multiple sexual partners. Now, the more sexual partners that a person has, the higher risk they are at being exposed to the HPV virus. So it's not cost effective for everybody to be getting a virus after their mid-20s because they probably have already contracted the viruses that the vaccine is made to prevent. It should be noted, however, that the vaccine can be given to somebody who has already been infected. For instance, I got the vaccine. Now, at my age, I was 24, and they knew that I had already been infected with at least one type of the high-risk virus. But I still had the potential to being exposed to the 3 other types that the vaccine could prevent. So it was recommended that I go ahead and get the vaccine, and I did. Now, initially the vaccine was only thought to be effective for females because it was treating cervical cancer. We knew that males could carry the virus, but because they initially presented with no symptoms, they didn't think that it would turn into anything, and so there was no point in vaccinating them. Research has now shown that this is not the case. So now it is recommended that both men and women get this vaccine. So given all of this information and how widespread this virus is and how potentially deadly it could be, why would people not be getting this vaccine? Why are our vaccination numbers low? One study that came out earlier this year showed that mothers were more likely to get the vaccine themselves than they were to give it to their children. So why wouldn't they want to protect their children? Well, this study showed that parents not only were afraid of any long-term potential health risks, but they were also afraid that if we give the vaccine to our children that is made for sexually transmitted diseases, that it was the same as giving them permission to go out and have sex. Now, outside of fear, there was also the concern about the cost of the vaccine. Gardasil, the vaccine that is approved to treat 4 different types of HPV, is the most expensive, and it is $360 for a series of 3 shots. Now, the good news is that now most insurance companies actually cover the vaccine. And for those that don't have insurance or can't afford the vaccine, they can go to free clinics like Planned Parenthood that often will give them a free vaccine or offer a payment on a sliding scale. Now, another concern with the parents with the long-term safety was that 53% of parents that decided that they were not going to allow their children to have it said that just because the FDA or the government says it's safe doesn't mean I believe it's safe. Now, 36% of them said, even though it says there's no long-term health effects, I still think there's going to be long-term health effects. The other concern that didn't have to do with fear or cost was that maybe this vaccine exists just to make money, because all of the ads that are put out on TV or in magazines for these vaccines are put out by the pharmaceutical companies that make the vaccine. So the parents are wondering, is it just so that they can make money, or do we really need this? So with all these questions, how were these concerns laid to rest? Well, a study that was released just this summer showed that females ages 14 to 19 have had a decline in the amount of HPV infections by 56% since the vaccine was initiated. That means over half of the girls in this age group could have been infected with this virus, but they weren't because of the vaccine. That's a pretty big deal. Another study that came out this year said that while the CDC recommends the 3-shot series that can be given over 6 months, 1 shot was proven to be up to 82% effective against the HPV viruses that were targeted. This is good news for those who couldn't afford it or who initially only got 1 shot and then never followed up, because it shows that they're still protected against the virus. It's not as effective as it could be, but they are still protected. And for those parents who were worried that there was going to be a pubescent sexual revolution, their concerns were calmed by an article printed in Kaiser Permanente's magazine saying that the requested treatment and counseling for sexually transmitted diseases was shown to be no higher in teens that were treated with the vaccine versus those that were not vaccinated. So there's no difference in the onset of sexual activity just because of the vaccine. So what did we learn about HPV today? We learned that it is common, it is dangerous, and it is not going to go away. We learned that the vaccine has been approved and tested over the last 7 years to show that it is effective and it is safe. And we know that this vaccine is the only vaccine that offers hope against 7 different types of cancer in men and women. Now, I lost my dad to cancer when I was 18, and I fought my own battle with cancer when I was 23. So I know how life-changing a vaccine like this can be. Now, all vaccines have risk, and as a parent, I understand the fear of exposing our children to something that is unknown. But as a patient, I understand what risk we're at for not taking a vaccine and not protecting ourselves. Now, modern medicine can't stop cancer. It's developed drugs to slow them down, but not stop them. And this vaccine that could prevent the development of cancer is the closest that we've ever gotten to treating and preventing cancer. Now, my sons are now 9 years old, and they're the age to be able to get the vaccine. And because of what I know and because of my experiences and what I've shared with you today, my sons will get the vaccine. So I hope that you have taken this and you can learn a little bit about HPV and what the vaccine can do for our country. Thank you for your time.